Senator Elizabeth Warren has taken on the biggest tech giants in the U.S., and she has a plan to break them up to stop their abuses of power. Go Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I love this woman. I've followed her career a long time. I just think she really is one of the people I would say a true presidential hopeful. The whole Pocahontas thing, you know,
it was an unforced era.
It was
a
totally unforced era, and I hated that. But she has time to rebuild.
Yeah.
If she keeps talking like this, she will, because you got people like me that are kind of out there saying, well, the Democratic selection right now is deplorable. I mean, there's the group out there saying, hey, you know, the Cory Booker types, I'm running for president, really. Well, maybe you ought to do something about your Wall Street arrangement before you run for president, because progressives probably aren't going to like that. I could go on forever. I mean, you know, the Wall Street Democrats are up front. But then you have Elizabeth Warren that says, wow, Google, Amazon, Facebook, it's time we break you up. And I loved her rationale.
Absolutely. And she's basically just saying what the United States for a time, for a couple hundred years, used to say to corporations. You cannot be A, B, and C.
Right.
You can only be A or B or C.
Right.
But somehow in the last couple decades here, we lost sight of that. We didn't have the presidents and the Justice Department and the antitrust units that would go out there and say, listen, you can't be everything that you are. You're going to become 2 separate companies. You're going to be 3 separate companies. And that's all she's saying. This is not we're shutting them down, we're destroying them. It's you've grown too big. You don't know how to handle it. You're violating the law at every possible turn. I mean, Facebook has been hit with more lawsuits in the last year than probably even the Bayer Corporation has. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you've got to stop.
So here's what she's saying. I mean, she starts by saying, look, who are we going to look at? We're going to look at companies that have values in excess of $25 billion. Right. Okay. So it's not like it's going to hurt the little guy. But I love what she says. She points out, she says, look, you're hurting our economy because you have too much power. You're hurting our democracy because you have too much power. You're hurting the First Amendment because you have too much power. And you're making decisions on what people can say and can't say. You're hurting small businesses because you're gobbling up mom and pop organizations that can't compete with you anymore. They just can't stay alive. You're stifling innovation. And she says, and you're avoiding the natural promotion of more competition. I mean, and anybody in the right mind would say, yeah, I kind of get that. It's, you see it happening.
Well, and that's one of the things, that goes back to the old days of the, company breakups. And what she's referring to here is, by stifling innovation, what she means is you have the money and the power that as soon as you get wind that another little group is coming along with a product that may eventually rival you, could be a threat to your company, take away some of your profits, you immediately go and buy them.
Yeah.
And many times the idea hasn't even been fully developed or launched, but it was there, they knew about it, so they say, all right, listen, we're going to pay you $100 million. You're a developer, you're in your basement, $100 million, we'll take your product and we'll take care of it. But then it dies. Yeah. And we've seen this happen a lot in the last few years with developers. Yeah. They buy them out before they can become a threat to the company. And she wants to put an end to that because we've probably lost out on a lot of great products, things that would help us every day.
Why is it we could look at AT&T and say, look, we can't let you get any bigger, but we can't look at these people and say the same thing? Why U.S. Steel? Why is it clearly U.S. Steel was owning everything, and it was affecting the entire economy. But we want to say, well, there's really a difference here. Look, Amazon takes in Whole Foods. I mean, that's a merger. Obama allowed that to happen. Google and DoubleClick, that's a merger. It's a massive merger. Facebook and Instagram. And at some point, I don't know why it is that I think I get this. Obviously, Trump doesn't like all this because they're kind of hard on him, but I don't get why Obama allowed it. I mean, I see why Trump doesn't want it, and he's all in on this because the typical American believes that they are too big. They don't like the fact that they become thought police. They've stifled discussions, just discussions like we're having right now. If we say something they don't like, their alert goes off and they close down our site. This idea is that they've become the keeper of what we think about. They're spying on us. If you take your phone right now, for example, and Google something you want to buy, and find out how many places it shows up within a matter of hours on your computer, on your telephone, on your TV. It's amazing. Yeah. They own us. And Elizabeth Warren is saying, this is way too big and we got to do something about it. I love this woman for standing up like that. Can she overcome the Pocahontas thing?
I think I don't 100% know that she can, because she, not only should she not have done this, she made an honest mistake thinking that this was her heritage. That's what she'd been told. She had no reason to doubt it. But then after the results came out, allowing the other side to capture that narrative and run with it so far before you stop it.
Well, we got, look, she's an important candidate.
She is.
We're going to do what we can. I'm going to do personally what I can to help her.
And she, look, this is a plan. As you pointed out here, you went through the specifics. This is a well thought out, researched, concrete plan.
Yeah.
How many other people running for president right now can say, look, here's an actual plan in writing that I want to do? They don't have it.
They don't have it.
Talking points.
This is Wall Street Democrats versus kind of progressive Democrats. The whole progressive Democrat thing is still a little unclear to me. I don't know what they've morphed into. As you know, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm an independent. But the idea of thinking that the Wall Street Democrats are going to jump behind this. Look, the Wall Street Democrats allow pharma to get as big as they want to get. They allow, they're never there on environmental issues. They're never there on consumer issues. Never. They're never there, really. Look what they're doing to judges in this country. We thought, okay, the Democrats come in office, we're going to get some great judges. You ought to appear in front of some of these judges that are Democratic appointments under Obama. It is a nightmare.
Some of Obama's own judges actually overturned his policies.
Yeah,
they were so corporate.
Yeah.